Today is Thursday, April 27th, 2023, and this is All the Leads Mastermind podcast number 426. I don't have any interviews scheduled for today, although some of our best success stories are spontaneous. So anybody that does have a win they'd like to share, please raise their hand. I would like to start off with a brief story win that I want to share. And it comes from these leads that I have been assigning, or that we have been taking in from the loan modification company and assigning to y'all. And my sales team asked me to please mention every time we talk about this. Apparently there's half a dozen people that call in and want to know why they haven't gotten a lead yet, and where can they send their resume, and et cetera, et cetera. So please know, guys, if I could each and every one of you one of these leads, we certainly will. They come in completely random from our perspective. And there's 3,000 counties in the U.S. We have subscribers in about 300 of them. Just stay a subscriber in good standing, and hopefully eventually you'll get one. But we have absolutely no control when they come in or where they come from. Having said that, they've been picking up again lately. And I had one. I only really tell the story if I think there's something that we all can learn from it. I had one come in last Friday afternoon in California. It was scheduled for sale on Monday morning. And I just about threw it away because I told the lady, I think it's absolutely too late to do anything about it. But I noticed a subscriber we have in that county is somebody who has been with us 6 years, getting 4 counties. I knew he was a seasoned pro. I actually know him back from my days of coaching. So anyway, I reached out to Michael, and just like our friend Roger Lacey said, "Oh, no problem. I've got an attorney that can get that done." And then he called me back and said, "Oh, my attorney's on vacation." And he said, "That's all right. I know what to do from the last time we were in this situation." But anyway, he got a hold of the property was worth close to $800,000. The seller owed $250 on it. It was about to lose it to foreclosure. And she waited till the very business day before the sale date to do anything about it. Anyway, he got a hold of her and explained, "I'm not an attorney, but here is what I've seen my attorney do before." And he told her where to go and to tell them that she had employed an attorney to stop, to file bankruptcy, but he didn't have the paperwork done yet, and to petition for an emergency stay, which I didn't know was possible. So anyway, she went down Friday afternoon, did that, got a 2-week extension on the foreclosure date. Michael went over Monday morning, listed the property for $750, went back to the office, met with the attorney, got the foreclosure filed, and he sold it himself the next day. So basically, about a $50,000 commission in his pocket for 2 reasons. Not only he knew an attorney that would do it and wait till the end, but he knew in the attorney's absence what to do. So we always talk about the importance of making those connections with attorneys, but when you can learn from them, he was in a position to jump in, and a lead I was going to throw away, he basically turned it into a $50,000 commission. So congrats to Michael. And remember, all of you, you don't need to call in and apply. Soon as just stay an active subscriber, and hopefully sooner or later we'll send you one of these leads. Anyway, take it away, Bruce.
So for those of you that have no idea what Jim was talking about, and maybe you're new, we for active subscribers, we do have another source of business that comes in to us, and essentially it's saving folks that are going into foreclosure normally. And when those come in, we make sure that we're taking them to our active subscribers. And so be a subscriber, build your connections, do what we're teaching you guys to do for the probates and building your team out. And they do come in waves sometimes. So some weeks are really slow and some weeks are really busy, but we'll make sure that we're bringing you guys some extra deals kind of as a bonus. So there's no way to subscribe for these particular deals because they're just slightly inconsistent, and they come over to us and we take them to our subscribers. So be prepared for that phone call one day. And if you see ATL pop up on your caller ID, go ahead and answer it.
I've got the habit of texting the agent and saying, I have a red hot listing for you. When they realize that it's not a scam, they call right back, usually within seconds.
Yeah.
But just to clarify, it isn't us. It's a major, major loan modification company that prospects everybody in the country who's in foreclosure. And I just asked them a simple question one day, what are you doing with the ones you can't help? And they were doing nothing with them. So they're giving them to us and we're passing them on to you guys.
Yep.
So, yep. Perfect.
All right. Well, good. Thanks, Jim. And I want to thank everyone for being here. Those of you that are new, this is the All the Leads Mastermind. We hold it every Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 10 Pacific. Man, I'm losing my time zones here. 10 Pacific. We're here to answer your probate prospecting, marketing, deal, closing, relationships, any question that you have kind of around your probate prospecting. We're here to answer those. I'm going to tell you guys, if you have questions around regular deals, bring those up as well. We're coaches. I've personally coached for 7 or 8 years now. I've sold for 20 years. Jim was a coach for a long, long time, probably longer than I've been alive. I'm just kidding, Jim. But no, Jim was a coach for a long time. Chuck's a coach. Tim, one of the owners of the company, has vast marketing knowledge. So we can help you guys if there are additional questions that you have that might be outside of probate. However, this call is heavily probate. If you are here live on Zoom and you have a question or a win, we want to hear from you guys. Raise your hand. To do that, just go down to the reactions button on your Zoom window and click the raise your hand button. We'll call on you for your question. We're here for you guys. If you're watching us on live stream, YouTube or Facebook, you can chat your question in under the stream. That'll come to us coaches, and we'll be able to answer your questions on that you chat in under the stream. We go for about an hour every Thursday. Today, I'm going to have to jump off right at 2 o'clock. I'm teaching Prospecting Mastery to an amazing group of our new subscribers that are learning how to go through a very powerful and impactful prospecting class if they're prospecting for probate. So that's a 2-day class that we teach once a month. It's coming up next month on the 3rd Wednesday of the month and then the very next day. So it's a Wednesday-Thursday combination. Go check that out. I encourage you guys, if you haven't been to Probate Foundations, it's a free class at the beginning of every month. Sign up for that to learn how to build your probate team, your USP, build out your marketing and your prospecting techniques. So we're here for you guys. This call does get recorded and posted onto our social channels. It gets posted onto your favorite podcast app. So if you just go look up All the Leads Mastermind, it also goes onto our YouTube channel. So there's lots and lots of ways to consume content and learn around the kind of the life transitions or the listing style business with a heavy emphasis on probate. So with that said, I'm going to turn it back over to coaches to see if there's anything that you guys have that you want to add in. I'm going to challenge you guys. Please raise your hand. Bring up your questions. Basic, advanced, if you're in the middle of a deal. If you just closed something or got a listing or a contract that you signed, we want to hear from you guys. This is not only a Q&A time. It's also to hear success stories and motivate your peers that are all over the country as well. So let me go to Tim. Raised his hand. Might have been messing with me.
So I raised my hand. I'm being a good boy. So I just want to point out that today's a bittersweet day. And the reason I say that is today is the last day that we're going to have Chuck with us as a full-time coach and doing some of the stuff he's been doing with us for the last, seems like, 2 or 3 years. How long has it been, Chuck?
I think it's been summer of 2021 is when I joined the team and started helping out.
So Chuck's not going away, and we couldn't catch up with him to fire him, so he's actually leaving on his own. But the reality is Chuck has helped us out a tremendous amount, and we're making some changes just to shore up our service offering to you guys and, give you more than we're giving you now. And we needed even more of Chuck's time, and Chuck needed to focus on his own real estate business. His real estate business is growing, continuing to do that, and he feels like he can, continue to join us. He'll probably show up on these calls and continue to be involved, but we're not going to count on him full time to do some of the stuff that he's doing. So we're reshuffling that around a little bit. And this will be the last time he's with us on this in the same official role as he has right now. But more importantly, I wanted to thank Chuck for all he's brought to the game. He's enriched our lives, and we're fortunate to have had the time with him that we've had. And going forward, we'll still try and steal as much of his time as we can manage, but we just not going to pay him for it. It'll work out great for us.
Yeah. No, I look forward to being able to come back, and I mean, I'll be a frequent visitor here on the Mastermind, and looking forward to continuing to bring value. It's a good group. I think this is a very specific niche focus that's in need out there for people to ethically help people that are going through settling an estate. So I'm looking forward to it. Business is growing, and that's a good thing. So we've got to go set the next level in the business. So growth is good.
Well, thank you for your time, Bud. And as importantly, I know that Chuck has meant a lot to many of you who had the pleasure of experiencing Chuck coaching and help training and help you resolve some things. And so certainly, if you want to reach out to him directly and let him know about that, that'd be great. And other than that, we will continue on. And as I said, we're making some additions to our team to grow our ability to help you guys. And we'll be letting you guys know about that. Actually, next week, we'll have some announcements to make about that. And we're off and running. And like I said, we're going to get as much of Chuck as we can, but we're just going to not pay him anymore. So it'll work out great. Again, thank you, buddy. Thank you, buddy, for everything that you've done. You've been a valuable part of our growth. Thank you.
Cool. Well, let's have a good call today. I'm ready for some questions.
Cool.
Awesome.
Hey, Bruce, and I second that, Chuck. We'll miss you. All right, third it, I guess. I wanted to answer Steve Carney asked about my story. He was a little confused he said, was the owner able to stop bankruptcy with so little time remaining? And that surprised me too. They didn't file bankruptcy. They filed a petition to be allowed time to file bankruptcy, which I had never heard of before. Now, there was an emergency petition saying, I intend to file bankruptcy. Can I have a little extra time to do it? And it was granted. So I would not have thought it was possible either. But it just goes to show you that Michael knew it was, and he got it done. So I just wanted to clarify that.
With the right relationships and the right motivation and getting a hold of the right person at the bank, you can work wonders for people, even if it's the 11th hour and 59th minute.
Yep.
So good. So Tyrone, I'm going to come to you in just a second. I had a chatted in question, and I'm going to kind of open this up to the coaching group on this one. But Travis had asked under one of our live streams, he asked if it was the best probate deals were the ones with not many heirs. Okay, and I kind of want to go to Chuck on that one and get Chuck's opinion on whether those are the best probate deals or not.
So my favorite answer, especially in real estate, is it depends. And a lot of it, so the term best is very subjective. So what may be best for you, Travis, may not be best for someone else in their particular business and their approach. I mean, to me, the best probate deal is going to be the one where everything goes very smoothly from start to finish, regardless of how many heirs there are. And we sometimes it's a complete lottery. It's a roll of the dice. We don't know their family situation. And I kind of use the analogy in many cases. The decedent can, in many times, be the lid on the boiling pot. So once they pass away, there's a boiling pot there with nothing to contain it, and then you have those family issues. So definitely, the less people is if it's a single person or it's a somebody that's an executor that doesn't have emotional ties to the property. I mean, that's going to be probably the smoothest, where you eliminate a lot of that family contention. But a lot of it really depends. We've had some really great deals that go smoothly with family getting along, and they're really appreciative of the help. And that to me means the most, that we're able to touch somebody and help them through a difficult time, easier than them doing it alone. So Now, from a profit standpoint, that really is independent as far as the number of heirs. That's going to be based on, the value of the property, and if you're an investor, what your purchase price is going to be. I mean, the economics are not tied to the number of heirs. But
Yep.
ease, as far as a deal and how easy it can be, yeah, it comes down to somebody that doesn't have emotional attachments to the property and needs your help.
I'm going to say my answer is going to be what's best. Kind of depends on what's best today and what's best tomorrow. So what's best today and easiest today is that single decision maker, that personal representative. They don't have a lot of siblings or additional heirs, or maybe the additional heirs have given them all decision-making responsibility. And those are certainly the easy ones. The ones with hair on them a lot of times end up being where you're the only person willing to help them. And so there's less competition. Might take a little bit longer. And you got to consider that multiple heirs a lot of times mean multiple relationships. So my most profitable probate has turned into, gosh, I haven't counted this up for a while, probably 13 to 14 total transactions, not out of probate, but because there were a lot of different heirs. They didn't all like each other. They sold 4 properties out of probate or during the probate process. And then I've picked up several additional deals and referrals from that family. And they didn't even really all get along. So the fact that individually they're still bringing me referrals is an attribute to how just because something gets a little bit complicated and there's multiple relationships to juggle and manage, you can, and you do a good job, you can really get a lot of spin-off business out of that, out of those relationships. So I'm going to say it's easier when there's just one decision maker. Multiple decision makers, a lot of times, or multiple people involved, a lot of times can build amazing referral opportunities in the future. Another thing with multiple people being involved is there's always someone that's pretty desperate for money that has some influence over the other family. So it's easier to get those houses priced right when you have multiple people involved, because there's always at least one person that's like, just get rid of it. And they're going to be leaning on their family members and helping influence selling decisions. So, all right. Tyrone, it's good to see you back. 2 weeks in a row. It's a pleasure. Go ahead and unmute yourself. What do you have for us today?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Couple things. One, just wanted to clarify, you did say that the probate foundation class is on the third Wednesday, so that would be May 17th and 18th for the next one.
So foundations is the first Wednesday. So foundations, probate foundations, that's our free class. It's the first Wednesday of every month with an occasional exception, but it's rare that we have to move that to like a second Wednesday. It's typically on the first Wednesday of the month, 2 p.m. Eastern time, 11 Pacific. And then the third Wednesday is this kickoff of prospecting mastery. So that's the 2-day class. It's back-to-back days. That's what we're doing today. We rescheduled it from last week to today. And prospecting mastery is kind of a 5.5 to 6 hour class where we break apart the individual elements and the outline of a probate prospecting phone call.
Okay, I see. All right. And then the list comes out once a month. So yesterday, I believe I received the first list. So there's about 52 names and stuff on there. So I called pretty much all of them that I could. Got a hold to a few folks. But there's a couple of folks in there who I can start mailing to. So do I need to schedule a time to get with someone in marketing to get the letters to go out and schedule that?
Absolutely. So what you're going to want to do, and so this is for you and really anyone else here. And I want everyone to know that our marketing team can set up your mailing on probate or really any other type of leads as well. So we have a lot of content and a lot of ability to get marketing out the door for you, especially when it comes to direct mail and websites. So what you're going to want to do, Tyrone, is get with what we call your MIS or Marketing Implementation Specialist. If you don't know who that is, just go to the support chat and ask who it is. They will get you with your MIS. And they will walk through your letter options, your postcard options, whether you want QR codes, and they'll help you with logos and really anything that you want when it comes to direct mail. but I would go ahead and schedule that. If you want a discount, and it's a pretty big discount, get yourself on autopilot where it goes out without having to manually order. Autopilot with 3 or more mail touches per list. And there's a what is the discount? Is it 15%, something like that? There's a pretty decent discount on mailing when you're on autopilot with 3 or more touches. And Jessica's here. I think I heard Jessica chime in. Was that you, Jessica? If so, wave at us. She's one of our MISs that does a great job helping set up. Our MISs are really almost coaches to a degree. They know marketing. They can help make suggestions on which letters go out and which sequence and which order. I'm going to encourage everyone here probably to maybe start with 3 or 4 mailers. But on a list, if you really want to start getting into maximizing the value of a mailing campaign, you might want to push into the 5th or the 6th month with your mailings, because a lot of people don't make those decisions until month 5, 6, 7 sometimes. And if you drop out on month 2 with mail, then they're gonna have months to forget who you are. All right. So yeah, Tyrone, MIS call, and they will get you set up.
Okay.
Yeah. How did your conversations go yesterday?
Oh, they were pretty cool. I really enjoyed it. It was totally unexpected. I guess I made a lot of stuff up in my mind that I thought it was going to be really, emotional but it really wasn't. It was very smooth and easy. I was very, very impressed with it. So, I didn't see that to be a problem. I felt more uncomfortable because I don't have all the pieces together. I don't sound as confident, but I guess that'll come over time. So, one last question, and I'll move on to someone else. I've noticed a lot of times when I'm seeing different listings, they'll have in there, it's probate, but then there's court confirmation. What exactly is court confirmation? Do you need a judge to approve the sale, or do you need a judge to approve the terms of the deal, or both?
It depends. What state are you in?
California.
California. Yeah, a lot of it depends on how the probate was set up. If in California, and this is a California thing, it doesn't apply to most other states. But when probate's set up, it's either set up with full authority, which essentially gives that family the right to make whatever decisions they want to make. It's our opinion that that's the best way to set it up. A lot of attorneys will set it up with limited authority, which has to go to the court. There could potentially be an overbid process on that. We've got California agents and investors here that can chime in. If anyone really has that California process locked down, I'm on the other side of the country. If anyone here has that California process locked down, wants to share a little bit, raise your hand. But full authority is going to give the family a chance to make their own decisions. They can sell low, they can sell high, they can sell fast, they can pick their own prices. Limited authority is going to rely heavily on court approval for final selling decisions.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And, I'm going to say to Tyrone and really everyone else, these prospecting calls are not difficult. You're obviously going to have the occasional person that's pretty skeptical when they pick up, but I hear it every day from someone that starts making calls and they go, wow, these calls are a lot easier than I thought they were. I'm dealing with people that need help. They don't really know where they are. It doesn't mean that they're going to say, thanks, Tyrone, for calling. Come list the house tomorrow. But they're generally pretty friendly. They'll tell you what's going on. You'll at least get off the phone with a kind of a time frame and a follow-up plan if you don't get the appointment. Now, I'm going to challenge a lot of you guys to get the appointment as quickly as possible and use some of the techniques from the Prospecting Mastery class to get those appointments, because there will be some other folks that mail and call. It may not be a ton of people depending on your market, but someone's going to be pushing for that appointment. If you're the best person to ethically influence them into meeting with you soon, you're going to get practically all that business, because most people do not know how to convert a conversation into a meeting. Cool. All right. Coaches, anything that you guys would like to add?
Nope.
All right.
I think the important thing, like you said, I mean, when you're talking about a number of folks that really don't know what the next steps are. They're surprised by being in this position at the time that they're in this position. I mean, so I actually work in the market that I grew up in, and now I'm starting to see some of the people that I went to high school with as executors for the passing of their parents, and reaching out to them and having that conversation. Really, they're like, Chuck, what do I do? I didn't have an idea of what the next steps were. It's not like mom was sick for some time. This was unexpected. So there are going to be a number of people that are looking for that checklist. And as part of your funnel and in those initial conversations, having that probate checklist that you can hand over, say, here, this can give you a guide of what your steps might be. We've got that as a marketing piece. I think it's a fantastic value proposition to give them as a free gift. Say, hey, here, make sure that you cover these steps of the checklist. You can modify it to specifically in your area, but that's a great way to help, and can be an easier part of the conversation to continue, add value in advance.
Yep, good stuff. All right, if I go on mute multiple times today and forget to turn myself off, I've got another head cold. Seems like the 42nd time this year, so I don't want to cough on everyone. Now, before I go to Ken real quick, I have a couple of questions. One from Grover. You mentioned that the probate courts in your state are requiring that the property be sold for at least 90% of its appraised value. And does that mean that the court won't let you buy at a great price? And I find that a lot of it really depends on how the probate was set up to begin with. So one of the things that you want is to recognize when you're prospecting leads that, depending on the location, the county, different things like that, it's generally speaking, I find that somewhere in the 60 to 70% range of your lead list will not have an attorney. Now, there's some of you that go, I wish it was that high, that don't have an attorney, but this is kind of a national average, in my opinion, subjective opinion. And it's going to be important for you to get attorneys, get with multiple attorneys, interview them, talk to them about the probate process, ask them if you can bring them business, and really get to know the probate process for the attorneys that you're working with. And in most states, if there is a minimum sale value percentage, you can kind of set it up where the family has more decision making capabilities than the court. What you want is to get the court out of it. They don't know how to value a property. They're kind of paper pushers. In a lot of cases, you're dealing with a magistrate, and they may be smart and really experienced, but they're not in real estate. So you can normally avoid that 90% rule in your state if it's set up properly. And there's always going to be some instances where there's a percentage like that. So I'll give you guys an example. I sold a house for full value. I'd listed the property, sold it for full value, and we got to the court, and this is very unusual, but it happened to have been set up in a way that the court had to leave a 10-day overbid period on the property. So buyer comes along. It was a double-ended deal for me. Buyer comes along, offered full price. We had to go into an overbid period, and my buyer got overbid. Now, it was my listing, so I was helping the seller, and I certainly wanted to make sure that the seller was taken care of first. But just because your state kind of has a particular way of doing things doesn't mean that there's not the occasional weird scenario based on how it's set up. In your state, Grover, you should absolutely be able to buy properties for less than 90% if you're an investor. Absolutely. You just need to get with the right attorneys, build those relationships. Definitely offer to bring them referrals for folks that don't have an attorney. Always be looking for the opportunity to introduce an unrepresented seller to an attorney. Always be looking for that opportunity. And the attorneys will really tell you how you need to set your business up, and how they need to set probate up if they're going to kind of not cut the court out, but take the power out of the court's hands. Somebody chime in.
One thing that I noticed, it's a in response to that. According to, I think, what is the law says that typically, or not, it doesn't say, it says that it has to be sold for 75%. This is in Kansas. Has to be sold for 75% of the value, unless that's been modified. That was what was enacted in 2019, that it had to be for at least 75%. Oftentimes, a local court will look for 90%, but in all cases, it is defined as that if there is no, in other words, if that's a court-appointed sale, that kind of stuff, it gives them some guidelines. But Bruce's point is that if the family chooses to sell the property for, $12 and they all agree to it, the court's not there to specify that. So they're giving guidelines, and the law is what the law is, but there are ways to work around that, and that is where you need to develop that relationship. But according to what I've read, and we've had it come up before, the law says 75%, 3/4 of the value. That's what I saw.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. I'm going to go to Ken first, but I want Joe, I want Alyssa, and Will to know that we are coming to your questions next, and then I'll pop over to Winston here in a second. Unless, Winston, you have something that is pertinent to the question that was just asked. Give me a thumbs up if it's pertinent to the question just asked. It is? Okay, let's go to Winston first, and then Ken. All right, go ahead.
The question that just popped up about the overbid process in California on a limited authority, and usually what the judge will do is that he'll take where it's at, he'll go with the formula of 10% of the first 10,000, 5% of where he wants to go above the bat, and that's where he'll start from there.
Okay, awesome.
So let's just say it's at 500,000, and he'll take 10% of the first 10,000, 5% of the balance of that purchase price, and that's where the next level starts.
I think I got it. Everybody got that? Okay. Winston, hang on just in case there's any clarifying questions that some folks have. When you're dealing with courts and judges or magistrates, there's always the possibility for weird, wonky rules. So you want to try to get those decisions out of the court's hands if you can. So work with an attorney that can help with that. One of the weirdest scenarios I ever saw was a short sale, and it was a husband and wife that unfortunately they'd split up, and the court decree said that they had to sell the house. It told the husband that he had to sell the house. So he comes to us. This is during the last crash, and they were upside down. So we set it up in a short sale. And you guys, those of you that have been in the business and done short sales, you know that those aren't overnight deals. So we set it up with a short sale. We got a buyer for the property, and we were going through the bank approval process to sell the property. During that time, his deadline to sell came up. He goes to court. The court said, how come the property isn't sold? He said, well, I have a buyer and I've had them, but we're having the short sale where the property's upside down. And the judge held him in contempt of court, threw him in jail for 30 days for not following the court order of selling and closing on the property inside of the time frame, even though he was under contract and we were waiting on bank approval. So threw him in jail for 30 days. During that 30 days, he lost his job. He got out, and the judge asked him why he hadn't paid child support. He said, because I lost my job, I've been in jail. Held in contempt of court again, put back in jail for another 30 days. So you guys shouldn't be scared of weird situations like that. But anytime you can help someone get full authority where they don't have to rely on a judge or a magistrate or a court process that doesn't understand real estate, it's going to be better. So get those attorney relationships so that you can help your clients. All right, let's go to Ken. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah. Hi, guys. Yeah, in Nevada, on that note, in Nevada, I think it's called letters of administration. Normally, all these people that I'm meeting are either have the letters of administration or they don't already.
because everybody I'm talking to already has an attorney before I speak to them. But I will say that it's really, really important to reach out to the attorney and actually find out if you have to go back to court or not, so you know how to update the MLS appropriately. Because in my experience, if you don't have to go back to court, you'll typically get a better price for the property. Just because we're in the now economy. So most buyers don't want to wait to go back to court another 2 or 3 months and then still feel like they might be outbid. So, and most of these clients, they have no idea if they have letters of administration or not. They're overwhelmed and they're just getting paperwork and signing it. So that's one way you can make the connection with the client and ask, do you have the letters of administration? Do you have authority to sell without going back to the court for a second approval? And they're like, I don't know. Well, listen, it's very important to the price of your sale. So would you be okay if I reach out to the attorney and find out for you? Because that could make you could earn another $15,000 or $20,000 if you had the answer to that. So extremely important. So a nice way to get your foot in the door or ask for the appointments. But anyway, just wanted to say, hey, I just signed up for the letters. Jessica was really, really helpful. I watched Kelly last week, as I'm sure a lot of you guys did, and I was just like, okay, I'm already winning as it is. But she just showed me there was another level to winning on a much higher scale. So I was like, okay, take the profits, invest it back into myself. And I just signed up for the letter. So I'm excited to see, how that's gonna turn out. We got 2 probate properties on the market right now. One of them, we're probably about 15% under market. The guy just inherited a whole mess of properties from his father and businesses and all kinds of stuff that he didn't really fully understand. So he was just trying to liquidate this condo. Especially the HOA was $800 a month. So he was just like, let's get rid of it. So I don't think if you have the letters of administration, I don't think there's any value that you need to sell the property for. But finally, actually, though, I do have a question. I've got a couple people that they feel like they had the proper right to the property, but I guess the courts are telling them, like, you got to prove that the heirs are dead, or, that there's nobody else that actually is in succession to inherit that property. And I kind of, I talked to a lady today and I said, maybe you should get a private detective to track down if the heirs are living or dead, but I didn't really know what to tell her. You guys have any advice on that?
So she has no idea if her relatives are still alive.
Well, I believe, and I don't want to say this for sure, but I think she's like a friend of the family, or maybe a cousin. But the court's like, well, where are the daughters, or where's the sons and daughters?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just kind of was like, well, let me know. She keeps following up with me. I know there's a property that's related to her name, but again, she's trying to prove to the court that she's the rightful person to inherit the home.
Tim, have you ever dealt with anything like that? Has anyone on the call ever dealt with anything like that? I have, but it wasn't really, really difficult to chase down people. I think that ultimately you're going to need to find those death certificates if they're passed away, and show that you've done everything in your power over a certain amount of time to find them. And that if you can't find them and there are no death certificates, there's probably going to be a cloud on the title. That would be my suspicion.
Yeah, and partially I'm just like, well, if they come back and they say they get court approval, then great. If not, just keep, pushing on. I mean, that's what I'm going to do anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's just a situation where it's too much effort for too much uncertainty of the outcome. I mean, I'm really looking for people that tell me, yes, they inherited the property, and yes, they're definitely going to sell it. Like, then I'm like, bingo, that's my that's my ideal person that I'm looking for.
Hey, Ken, in that situation, I'm assuming there was no will,
I didn't ask.
because the only time I've ever seen that is when there was no will.
Well, actually, I guess I didn't ask. She interjected when I talked to her, and she said that there was some kind of statement that said that the decedent disavowed or whatever, took these other people off the inheritance. So I guess that was a will. Actually, now that I'm thinking about the conversation, but I guess the court still doesn't. Maybe they think it could be fraud or something. I guess apparently they're still not taking it as, proof positive that they can move on.
Yeah, the only time I've ever seen anything like that is when there was no will and you had to track down any known heirs. And but there's usually a procedure for publishing notices, and it's kind of on them to respond. And after a certain amount of time, if they don't, then it's assumed that nobody does have an interest. So
Right.
yeah,
Well, that's what I'm wondering, if it's a time frame thing,
Mhm.
or how it's going to work out. But anyway, like I said, I guess it's just on the back burner, and I'll let her eventually come and say she's got it figured out or not.
So your initial idea of hiring a private detective is probably wise. If it is a time frame thing, that time frame is going to come with stipulations to be able to prove to them what you tried. Here's a certified letter that I sent out. I hired this person out of the probably most likely out of the proceeds of the estate, so not out of her pocket.
Right.
Here's what I did. Here are the steps that I did. I haven't found anyone. It's been 30 days. It's been 60 days, whatever that time frame is, and show that there was a legitimate effort being made. Most courts should acknowledge and recognize that. Now, if there's a will, I don't know why they're not accepting.
Yeah. And again, I didn't specifically ask if there was a will, but she, made mention of some kind of paperwork, so that probably was a will.
Mm-hmm.
But and then the other again, off that topic, yesterday I was cleaning out a property. We had like 12 cars on it. I'm down to 2 now, so I'm very relieved. But the last guy I met, he was a buyer. Like he'll buy anything and everything. He mostly wants to buy cars, but he'll buy anything and everything. So I had a property I cleaned out 2 weeks ago, and I just gave all the stuff away. So it's cool now that I have a potential buyer for all this stuff. When the client's just like, hey, get rid of it, then I could actually sell it. And I think that's probably not a conflict of interest, right? If the seller's just like, hey, get rid of this stuff. I mean, if I sell it, I don't think that's an issue.
That shouldn't be a conflict of interest. I took a car in exchange for a commission on a probate one time. So I don't see that as a conflict of interest at all. This is just a member of your team. The family wants to get rid of the property. You need antique dealers, you need personal property buyers, estate sale companies. So I don't see this as being anything out of the ordinary. It might be a unique scenario, but
right.
Get yourself buyers.
Right. Well, and with this particular client, I mean, first we actually did a probate auction. So I guess the total revenue of the auction was $15,000. She got half of that. And then the rest of it, she was just like, get it out of here. And that was like a week before I met this guy that would have probably bought a lot of that stuff. So I was like thinking, what am I going to do with this stuff? And I just called my contractor and was like, get it out of here. And he wanted to charge me. And I was like, well, hold on, listen, I think there's enough value in all this stuff here that you could take it, do something with it, and get it out of here for free and clean this unit up. And that's what we ended up working out.
Yep. Amazing. All right. Good stuff.
Right,
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Roger, we'll come to you in a minute. I've got a bunch of questions that have been chatted in, and we're going to go to Joseph first. Joe had asked what type of letter we would send to a personal representative who is a surviving spouse. In general, guys, and this goes for all probates that I mail to, because I like things going on autopilot, just automatically. That first letter is going to be very much concierge service focused. It's going to be kind of, I'm your turnkey solution. I can help you with a property sale, an estate sale, cleaning a property out. I can connect you to attorneys and accountants and buyers and all, just kind of show them the overall value. You want to summarize that relatively quickly, and we have a bunch of letters that kind of cover all those services. I would do that to a surviving spouse, but the truth is I do that to everyone on my first letter. I do then start to get gradually over time, I start to get my letters a little bit more focused on real estate. So that second letter is usually kind of a service-based letter. So it might be a concierge service, and I'll normally drop a PS in there that says, oh, by the way, if you have real estate that needs to be sold, here's how I help. And then by the time I hit my third, fourth letter, I'm focusing pretty heavily on real estate, and I'm putting a PS that tells them, if you don't have real estate, you're not going to sell, you don't know what you're going to do yet, here's the other things that I can help with. So I kind of use the power of the PS to present the opposite service of whatever I'm presenting in the body of the letter. All right, so Joe, I would lead that very first letter just in general for everybody with kind of a turnkey type of service letter, showing them everything that you can do. Definitely touch on the real estate in that first letter, but that's not the primary focus of the very first letter normally. All right. Anything to add, coaches? If not, I'll go to Travis.
No, I think for me, I really like the trifolds as a first touch, and it delivers the entire value proposition that we would offer to help somebody with those types of things. What Bruce was describing. If you want to customize and maybe step forward, maybe you can lead with downsizing and not about probate, and not about the estate, but that's an option. That would be, I would take the same letter and just change that little bit of wording. That would be the only real modification, because you want that same value prop.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. I said I was going to go to Travis. I already answered that question. I'm going to go to Alyssa. You asked two questions. So does everyone do mailers? First thing, I get that question a lot, and that's a great question. So when do you send your letters? A lot of it depends on whether maybe you're using Property Plus, which is an extra skip tracing service that sends your leads out and tries to collect as many property owners as we can. So if you do Property Plus, that list is going to come back with 75-80% that owned real estate, and maybe 15 to 25% that it doesn't look like ever owned real estate. So in a case like that, what you might want to do is delay your letters by 3 or 4 days or 5 days, so that you can go in and check off anyone that does not have real estate. And that way you're only mailing the folks that have owned real estate in the very near past. Okay. So otherwise you're going to want to get that letter out really quickly. And for those of you that don't know, why would you do Property Plus and get that extra skip tracing? It's not data that comes with our regular leads. Why you would do that is if you're doing 4, 5, 6 letters or mailers, it can be a cost savings to cut out 20-25% of your leads out of your mailing campaign. If you're doing just a letter, which we don't necessarily recommend just doing 1 or 2 mailers, but if you are, it's not a cost savings. It's just to satisfy your curiosity. But if you are doing a 6-month campaign, you should definitely look into Property Plus, because by the time you've cut out 25% of your leads, or 30 or 15, whatever it is, and you hit that 4th mailing, now you're saving money. So you might want to check that out and consider putting a few day delay on there to give you a chance to go in and take those people out of your campaign.
Hey, Bruce, one of the things that people often ask when we bring that up is, well, why don't you just give them to me up front and then I don't have to do that? So the reality is that there's a significant additional expense in getting that data, because what it means is that we'll be doing is not only looking in the local marketplace, but we look into every resource in the country to find out if the person owns real estate, or the person who passed away owns real estate locally or anywhere else in the United States that we can assume there's real estate. And it's not the most accurate data in the world, but it helps you in two respects. One is what Bruce said about scrubbing, but the other side of it is that it also can help you find property that you don't even know is there. Maybe in some cases, the estate doesn't even know is there. And we've had that happen several times where somebody's come up and said, well, your Property Plus showed that there were 4 pieces of property. One of them was on the West Coast, and they weren't even aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you look like a superstar when you're doing that. And, you may find, well, my research says, that so-and-so who passed away may own 4 different pieces of property. Are you aware of that? Well, we're aware of 3 of them. We don't know about the other one. Well, you look like a hero. So it helps you that way. It helps you build your credibility, but it does take time and money, and there's a bunch of manual labor in terms of getting that done. And that's why in a smaller marketplace, our tendency is to say, let the letters do the work for you, call them all and don't worry about it. And it'll, it saves you money either way.
Yep. It's a large portion of your leads that are going to have real estate anyway. So scrubbing those out, your letters and your calls can do a lot of that work for you. But if you're curious and you definitely want to trim your list down before that first letter goes out, think about Property Plus.
And Bruce and Tim, I add to what both of you said. I feel like it's too often overlooked, the referral opportunity. If either there's property owned and several other properties owned in other parts of the country, it's an awesome referral opportunity to cover that, generate extra commission, cover your costs, and turn it into another revenue source. Refer them out. You get a call from somebody that says, hey, I just did a probate in, Los Angeles, and I noticed they own 2 properties in St. Louis. Would you be interested in listing them for them? And it comes as a hot referral. Anybody would be glad to pay you 25, 30% for that.
Yeah.
So I think that's too often overlooked.
All right. So the next question that I was going to answer was Alyssa's, and she just raised her hand. So I'm going to go to Alyssa next, answer a couple of quick questions, and then just in case I have to jump off, guys, because I've got the class coming up. If I have to jump off, you're going to be in good hands. Alyssa, what was your follow-up?
Hi. I am in Texas, and this is my first time working on probate leads, and I guess I don't even know the very basics of how do they get to probate court, because I've actually worked somewhere with other referral sources that have given me, I've worked with families that have lost loved ones that had a home, and I helped them sort of close that loop with their real estate, but it was via a heirship affidavit whenever it was a simple, clean cut property that I could help sell for them, and I can usually be the buyer or bring them a buyer, and it was easy to transfer that property and get it to the heirs, the funds from that. So I'm just I guess I don't know how they get to probate, and is everybody that passes away, is it filed with the county court or?
So the death certificate is typically filed.
Okay.
It's not always probate. So, and I want everyone here to know we've taken a lot of very state specific questions. I know Virginia and North Carolina. I've picked up through coaching a lot of processes in other states, but I'm certainly not perfect in every state. It's really simple. I want everyone to go do some research just through Google, probate process, or when do you need to file probate in your state? And Alyssa, I'm going to answer yours as best I can, but this is for everyone. When do I need to file probate? What does the court have to approve while in probate? Things like that. Look that up, meet attorneys, and ask them specifics. I learned 90% of what I know on Google. And I learn about 10% of the nuance through the attorneys that I'm building relationships. And there's always little nuances that pop up every now and then. So you want to meet those attorneys and talk to them and kind of tell them what you think you know and ask them to correct you. And they're happy to do so.
But for us to get this information with the representative and the deceased, somebody filed it with
Somebody filed probate. And in general, in most of the country, the net assets need to total $50,000. And I know in some cases like California, it's like $184,000 or something. So every state's a little different, but in many, many states, it's $50,000. If their net assets worth $50,000, they have to file probate unless they have a trust. so they can't empty the bank accounts. They can't sell things like that. So they got to go through probate.
Can they get in trouble retroactively? Because I don't know when I've sold stuff, and I guess I need to research a little more.
Now, real estate can be different. There's a lot of times when you can carve out real estate in certain states. Texas is one, North Carolina is another. You can carve the real estate out of probate and actually go ahead and sell real estate by following the correct process. And any closing attorney or title company should be able to tell you if the process was followed.
Yes, I have a ton of resources on that end. So that could be another like value add for them as well, to not have to go through a probate attorney necessarily with the property if they're trying to upload it. I don't know.
I think the biggest value add is to take them to an attorney when they don't have one. And of course, it's a value add if they don't have to go through probate. Any good, ethical, and honest attorney should be able to tell them when they can carve the property, the real estate out.
Okay.
So get yourself some really good, trustworthy attorneys that you can take these deals to. You take a few to them, and they're going to be your advocate for life. They're going to refer you business, and they're going to, I can call a few attorneys, and they will tell me anything that I need to know just because I take on business. So, yeah.
And Alyssa, it's unlikely they're going to get in trouble because the title company will pick up if there's a death certificate, they're going to require a probate. So you're not going to be able to, in fact, they're not going to be able to undermine a good title company. It would be an issue with title. So they would pick it up before they could ever really get in trouble. But some people don't know. We see cases all the time where a probate will be filed where the deceased died 10 years ago, but now they finally want to sell the property and they never knew they were supposed to file it. So that does happen. Yeah.
Okay.
Happens a lot. Yeah. You'll find people that they've had the property in the family for 20 years after a loss, or 3 or 7. All those are the number of years that I've had. And they go to sell the house and realize that they never filed probate.
Sure.
So,
Okay. And so then going back to my original question of, do you tell them that you pay for leads, or do you just, I got your info from,
I'm calling because I work closely with the clerk at the courthouse, the probate clerk, and I got your information from them. I wanted to reach out and tell you about a couple of services that I could do to help you through the probate process, but never mention leads, never mention third-party companies. So information came because you recently filed probate at the courthouse.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's the top of the hour, and I know that our other Alyssa has some info she wanted to get out, so I wanted to go to there real quick before we begin to lose people here.
Okay.
Alyssa, are you ready?
Alyssa can do that. I'm going to have to drop off, guys. I know that there's one more question from Will in chat. Alyssa, go ahead. Chuck, Tim, Jim, you guys got it. I got to go to class.
Go get them.
Thanks, everybody.
Alyssa.
Thank you. Yes. So I just wanted to hop on and put out a formal request for feedback from you guys. We always get great feedback, and this call is full of a lot of subscribers who have been with us for a long time, a lot of new subscribers, and we are always seeking feedback, whether it be on our calls, on our customer service, on a training class, mail, the leads themselves, anything like that. And I'm going to go ahead and drop our review links in the chat, both in Zoom and on YouTube and Facebook streams. And if you guys are enjoying our content, if you enjoy our service, if you've had, any outstanding interaction with anyone on our staff, it really helps us a lot to know any of that information. Helps us build and change and obviously grow, and we continually pass all of our growth along to our customers as well. So any positive feedback you have, any feedback in general, we encourage you to visit those review links for us if you wouldn't mind. We would greatly appreciate it. Feel free to name drop if you've got a specific staff member who went above and beyond for you. We always love to hear that as well. And especially on Facebook, we're in the age of Bitcoin robots who are flooding our reviews with a bunch of crap. And we prefer to hear from you guys, and we want our community's information and feedback to be at the top. And So we definitely appreciate if you guys can take a couple minutes to let us know what you think. And that's all I have. Thank you in advance.
Perfect. And I wanted to apologize to Roger Lacey, one of our longtime subscribers. He may have had to run. Roger, if you're still on, I think you had a comment about something we were talking about. I guess maybe he had to run. And then do we have time for David, or do we need to run, Tim?
Yeah, go ahead and David, go ahead and unmute yourself and let's hear it, bud. What you got?
Hey, good afternoon. I just had a quick question. What was the source that you guys had mentioned earlier to check into to know if there's an actual real estate on the probate?
Oh, Property Plus.
Okay, that's within your guys' program also?
That's correct.
Yes.
Property Plus.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. And guys, I know that we have a whole bunch of questions that we didn't get time to get to in chat. And Eric, if you'll grab the content there, we'll be happy to get your responses back and try to respond to them directly. If not, please come back and join us next week for that part of it, because we ran, longer than we thought we were going to run this week. Always seems to work that way. And, we were happy to do it. We could probably be on here for 2 hours and have the same thing. One other person asked, what about the recordings? And, is this available somewhere? The reality is, yeah, it is. We post this when it's done. This podcast gets posted up on our Facebook Mastermind group, and just need to make sure that you join that. And it's easy to do it, and that's why we do it. We put it up there. So we appreciate everything that you guys do and everything that we can do for you. We're going to continue to try to do. Again, Chuck, I'll say a not so fond farewell. We're going to miss you, but we hope we'll continue to see you every week, or whenever you can spare the time. We hope you're here to join us.
Bet you will. I'll be back.
Jimmy, send it.
Awesome. And all kinds of questions, comments, good comments. Denver wanted to know, we let you know next time we're going to do this. We do it same time every week. Every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Get there the same way you got there today. So for the last 427 weeks. So pretty good chance we'll be here next week. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here this week. I want to particularly thank those that actively participated. I want to challenge each of you, take one idea, one thought, one thing that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back same time next week and share your results with the group. Have a great week, everybody. See you same time next Thursday. Take care.